I'm Maeve McCaffrey. We're going to go over some basic standing postures in a beginning yoga practice. This is always a good refresher for anyone at any level. So join me now, feet about hips distance, rooting the feet down, turning the palms open. Feel the calves press to shins, shins press to calves. Soften the gaze. Allow the kneecaps to start to rise up on the thighs, and then just gently rock your weight a little forward and back. And then side to side. And from that sense of forward, back, side to side, we start to find our center. Connect to your breath. Tracing the inhale as it comes in through the nose, down through the throat, into the chest, into the lungs, expanding the rib cage, front, back, side to side, and then following the exhale back up. And as you're here, we start to stack the joints, so stacking the knees on top of the ankles, feeling the outer and the inner ankle working together to give energy up the leg. Hips on top of knees, shoulders on top of hips. Feel the sides of the shoulders grow broader and wider. Stretch the fingers away from the shoulders, open up the insides of the elbows. And then allow the top of the head to gently draw upward toward the sky. Tadasana, mountain pose. Every other standing posture is built on the foundation of this pose. And in Tadasana, we really feel that sense of yoking opposites, of union, of rooting down and rising up, of drawing in and expanding outward. And then with your next inhale, take the arms as wide as you can to sweep them up overhead. Your hands do not need to come directly overhead. You can have the arms a little wide, so just notice what the shoulder is giving you for feedback here. And if it doesn't feel good, keep the arms a little wider, maybe even keep the elbows bent if that helps you. Find where you feel strong and centered and safe. Utthita Hastasana, fully extending up. With the arms overhead, we have this opportunity to be bigger, but sometimes what we do is we collapse into the back rib cage. Keep the back rib cage lifting up and send the arms up and out from the back ribs. So if you think of a bird's wings, they sit on the back, right? If these are our wings, they're not just coming out of the shoulder, they're gonna come out of our backs. So as these arms came out wide to rise up, our wings expanded, we did it from here, not just from here. So keeping the sense of that strong back to send the arms up. Also noticing how the low back wants to shift here and maybe wants to arch and the belly starts to release forward. Keep the belly drawing back, keep the low back nice and long. So we have to start to contain a bit. If we just allow ourselves to fall into our sort of path of least resistance, we'll start to find compensatory movements and positions that probably don't serve us. We'll see. But in this case, if we just arch the back and let the belly go, it's not going to serve us. So leveling the waist, leveling the pelvis, and following the breath. One more inhale here, and then release your hands through your heart center. And so this gesture, Anjali Mudra, is just a means of honoring ourselves, connecting into our center, connecting to ourselves, among other things. And then release the hands down. Bring your hands onto your hips, step your feet wide. You're gonna turn your right foot, actually I'll go left foot, so I'll mirror you. Your left foot's gonna turn open. It doesn't matter if you start with your right or your left side. When you come into this position, we want to do a nice nice deep external rotation from this inner thigh. So we're shifting the thigh bone in the hip socket. Right when we get here, a lot of the time the hips get a little cockeyed here. This hip drops down, my left hip is dropping down, my right hip is rising up, and we want to try to balance that as best we can. So you can kind of move in both directions to get a sense of, again, where your center is. So sometimes we don't know that we're not on our center unless we feel what all the other places are. So sort of leveling the hips, you can bring your hands to your hips to feel that. Think of the basin of your torso, your pelvic bowl, as tipping over, of lifting up, of tipping, or of being in balance. And we want to do our best to keep that bowl balanced. Start to bend your left knee. And as I'm doing that, I'm realizing my stance is not long enough. And what tells me that is if I'm bending my knee and I feel like I can't really go any further, even though I feel like I could, but I don't have the means to, my foot isn't far enough away. And so this knee is doing, it's not wrong for your knee to go past your toe, but we want to have a big enough stance, the generous stance that we feel secure and stable here, so that my knee can sit pretty much on top of my heel or on top of my ankle. You may or may not get this thigh parallel to the ground, and it's often taught, this is Warrior Two, it's often taught that we are aiming to get our thigh parallel to the ground. Maybe we are, maybe we're not. More than anything, you feel centered, you feel strong, you feel safe. So if your thigh's up here and that's where you feel safe, strong, and centered, that's where you are going to be. And you're gonna look to balance the pelvis and then sweep the arms out. These are still our wings. So we're extending the arms from the back ribs. And then sometimes the tendency is to let this back arm drop a little bit, keep it extending out. Sometimes we take the hands higher than the shoulders. See if you can push out from the center of the shoulder to lengthen out here. And we'll stay for a few breaths. This inner thigh is wrapping open. We're moving this left knee gently toward the left pinky toe, but keeping the big toe rooted down. Back foot fully rooted. Arch of the back foot lifting. And the toes are turned just a little bit forward on the back foot. Just a smidge. And then straighten that left leg, bring the foot around, and let's take this to the other side. So picking up the heel, pivoting, and then see what arrives, or what you find when you arrive here. So maybe this length of stance doesn't feel appropriate on this side. Adjust it as needed. Looking to feel centered, feeling strong, feeling safe. You shouldn't feel like you're holding onto the edge of a cliff here. You have to sort of play with the pose and listen to where you feel good. This pose is often taught with the alignment of the front heel to the arch of the back foot. I'm not so caught up in where that heel lines up to the back foot. Play with where it is. So it's very much upon you, and as the teacher, yes, we're supposed to give you the instruction to get there, right? But it's very much upon you to feel what's happening in your body and then trust your intuition. So just as if you felt a hot stove, you wouldn't need me to tell you to move off the hot stove, right? You'd pull off of it. If something doesn't feel right here, you need to trust that you're going to move in the direction where it will be appropriate. So maybe it's heel to arch alignment with the feet, maybe it's heel to heel. Play with it. See where you're best secure, safe, centered. Virabhadrasana 2, broadening the collarbones, broadening the upper back, spreading your wings. Warrior 2, as it translates. Your breath is soft and steady and even. Draw back up. Bring your hands to your heart. You're going to turn all of your toes to face straight ahead. Bring your hands on your hips. So look down at your feet. The edges of your feet, this is usually a good marker for everyone, at least as a jump off point. The edges of the feet, the pinky toe side of the foot, is parallel to the front and the back of your mat. And then from there, just like in every other pose, if that doesn't feel good, you move in the direction where it does feel good. Here's the thing, sometimes moving away from where we're challenged seems like it feels good, but in the long run doesn't make us stronger, more stable, or safer. So give this a try first, and then from there, you'll start to decide if you need to shift that. We're gonna come forward with the spine. Let your toes catch you a little bit. Draw up on the legs. Squeeze the feet toward each other. Come forward a little bit more. And then release your hands down to the ground. And if you can't reach the ground, you can use a chair here, or if you have yoga blocks, you can put your hands on the blocks. And for today, we're just gonna stay in this lengthened position. Prasarita Padottanasana. So lengthen out the back of the neck, the sides of the neck. Balance weight between your feet and your hands. Draw the inner thighs upward from the arches of the feet. So draw up the inner thigh to the groin. Keep the pinky toe pressing down. Keep your breath constant and soft and steady. Pull the heart forward even more. Lengthen the gaze forward. Stabilize in the feet, stabilize in the legs. Bring your hands to your hips. Inhale, rise up to stand. Beautiful. Bring your hands back through center, turn your heels in, and then just simply bring your feet in together. Feet can be at hips distance, they can be all the way together. This is gonna be very much up to you what feels best on your body. So I'm gonna go just a tiny bit apart with my feet. You're gonna sweep the arms up, bend your knees, shift your hips back. Keep your feet fully rooted. So toes are down, the base of the big toe is down, the base of the pinky toe is down, all the way through the foot. You're sitting back into what's called Utkatasana, or chair pose. Feel the heel rooting down, but keep the same amount of energy in the toes. Gently draw the knees a little forward as you draw the hips back so that there's this opposing energy. And then gently draw the belly off the thighs. Contain the front rib gently. Send your wings out from the center of your back rib cage. Start to peel your gaze upward, maybe straight ahead, maybe slightly upward, but notice what that does to your neck and make sure you feel good there. One more inhale. Exhale, press up to stand, and draw your heart into your hands into your heart rather. Perfect. Take a breath in. Take a breath out. And we work on a balance pose. You're going to pop your right heel up. You're going to turn your knee open. And then look down. Slide your foot back to your ankle. So your heel is on your inner ankle. The ball of your big toe, the base of the foot, is at the lower ankle. And then press the foot into the ankle back into the foot. Draw up on this leg, as we did in Tadasana. And then feel a gentle external rotation and lengthening from inner groin to knee, like we did in Warrior Two in that front leg. Good. And then take the arms down and sweep them up. Good. If this is enough, stay here. You're hugging this left hip in. So rather than dropping off into the hip, pin the hip in and draw up. If you want a little more balance work, we slide the foot to the calf. Notice the tailbone, see if you can point it downward. Balance the pelvis as best you can. So allowing this right hip to soften down. Your breath is soft and steady and even. Allow your gaze to steady your drishti, and that will give you a little bit better balance for the most part than if your eyes are darting all over the place. It's like the wind is coming through and taking you off your center. Bring your hands back into your heart, and then turn the knee forward, release the foot down. Pause, just receive that, take a couple of breaths here. we'll do that on the other side. And just notice how the two sides feel different. So pop up that left heel. Turn the knee open. Look down, slide the foot back so that it lines up to the leg. And then just take a moment here. Pin this outer hip in, crawl the spine up. Take the arms down, sweep them up, and then stay here, or slide the foot up into the inner calf. So however much pressure this foot is putting into the standing leg, so left foot to right leg, you need to meet that pressure back. So all things equal opposite. And from there, we create stability, we create space, we yoke the opposites. This pose is built from Tadasana, tree pose. I'm not sure if I said that, Vrikshasana. Bring your hands back into your heart, turn the knee forward, face the foot down, take a breath here, in, and a breath out. And then come down to seated. Sit comfortably, we're only here for about a minute or so. Release your hands onto your legs, roll the shoulders up and back a couple of times. And then just soften the shoulders down. Root down into the hips to lengthen the spine up. Allow your breath to become a little quieter, a little softer, a little more passive in this moment. Next inhale, draw your hands together in Anjali Mudra at the heart. Lift the spine, and then bow your mind to your heart. Rise, inhale. Thank you for practicing with me today.